was the most satisfying revenge you've gotten on an ex? I was engaged for 3 months when I found out my fiancée Lizzie had been cheating on me for well over a year. I found this out by complete accident when I had to use her iPad to Google something. She has her iMessage sync, so all her texts were on it, and I saw everything. There were texts of Lizzie talking to another guy about how happy he makes her. They were sending pictures and videos back and forth, and I could feel my heart crack bit by bit. The worst part was that the guy was Sean, someone I wanted to ask to be my best man. Ever since I proposed to Lizzie, Sean had been texting me nonstop asking if he can do anything to help with the wedding. Turns out, he was a snake in disguise and was an A-class manipulator. Lizzie had even been sending him money from our savings so he could buy a bigger apartment. I was devastated beyond belief, and cried so hard I thought I'd throw up. But what really sent me over the edge were the things they said about me. They were mocking me and belittled my entire existence. They joked about how I was an oblivious idiot who didn't know his fiancée likes another man. Sean would text me saying I was lucky to have Lizzie, and then send the screenshot to her with laughing emojis. Lizzie would tell me she loved me and I am her world, and then send the screenshot to Sean with a gross emoji. There were even talking about how I didn't know what Lizzie liked in bed, and likely never will. There was even more vicious stuff that made me feel betrayed, used and thrown out like trash. It felt like I was Jeffrey Dahmer in my past life, and the universe was punishing me for those crimes. I was confused too, because who was this person pretending to be my Lizzie? Did she really spend 3 years without showing this side of her to me? Sean has been actively pushing Lizzie to dump me. He wanted her to do it after last year's Christmas, after we returned from visiting her family. Apparently her family liked me and hated Sean, so she didn't want to bring him home. When I read that, something just snapped. Not only were they using me as a clown to fund their jokes, using my money to fund their new apartment, they were also using me to deceive Lizzie's family. I had moments in high school where I was snickered at, ridiculed for being dumb in a school for geniuses, but not again. Not like this. So I thought ahead and decided to go nuclear. Lizzie was out of town when I discovered the messages, so I had a few days to pull myself together. During November, I pretended everything was fine and made excuses to not go on dates with her. Every time I saw her on her phone, my feelings of love hardened until my initial devastation was gone and replaced by a clear desire for revenge and justice. I would wait to read through her iPad when she was at work to gather evidence, and then put it back in the same position in her top drawer. She never suspected anything or thought to change her passcode, so I collected an insane amount of evidence. The explicit messages, the vicious belittling of me, the messages about stealing my money, I sent all of them to myself and covered my tracks. My lawyer loved that, by the way. Anyway, Christmas arrived and we went to her parents' house with plans to stay the night. I spent the day watching that cheating, mocking, money laundering woman enjoy a lovely Christmas. At night she kissed me and said how much she loved me, and I had to hold back my laugh. The next morning I made my move when everyone sat down for breakfast. I sent each piece of evidence to her mother, her father, her 2 siblings and her cousins. Every family member that I had the contact for had the pleasure to read her texts. Lizzie's family is pretty phone addicted and checked their emails immediately. I wished you could have witnessed that scene. Not missing a beat, her sister slapped her across the face. The wild snake couldn't even look her family in the eye as they berated her for her actions. Her father tried to apologize to me after kicking her out, but I reassured her family this wasn't their fault. I thanked them for everything and left. Outside the house, I encountered Lizzie, who had ruined her makeup by crying. She told me she was sorry, and asked me to forgive her and take her back home. But I laughed in her face and said, I thought I was a weak idiot who didn't understand anything? I don't deserve to take a sweet lady like you to my house. I also know Sean's mother, who he still lives with by the way, and sent her the texts. Safe to say she kicked him out and the cheating duo can't afford a hotel.